Look, I know that these are silly exercises. Most people don't do rolling patterns, but they're really fucking effective. They're really effective for multiple different reasons. One, we again have taken away gravity. We're on the floor. We don't need to worry about staying upright, so we can just focus on doing the exercise well without having to focus about any strength level or whatnot. And two, we're effectively using the floor as a foam roller. So we as personal trainers probably can't do much manual therapy, but we can put people in a position where the floor is acting as manual therapy. Right, so this looks like a really silly exercise, but there's a lot of shit going on in here. So if we start at this like initial turn, my very first movement is to bring my leg very slowly off the floor, which is kind of orienting my pelvis to the left. I had to think about that. Relatively, my sacrum is going to turn to the right. So I'm getting this sacral turn on the innominate. So I'm getting this motion, but happening on the floor. I'm getting this. So my sacrum is turning to the right. It's not really. My pelvis is orienting to the left, but that's kind of the same thing. This is the same thing as this, just in a different manner. Now, as I orient over, I'm getting ER on the top, or relative ER on the top leg, and relative IR on the bottom leg. And I'm getting that IR because as I roll over, I put force into the floor and the floor pushes back up to me. So I'm getting this position. As the floor pushes back up into me, I roll into IR and I encourage IR on the bottom leg. So we're getting a little bit of kind of like mid-stance effect on the bottom leg. But that initial movement, ER on the top leg with that sacral turn, is very indicative of early stance. So if this was the first roll or the first exercise that I wanted to give somebody to get them moving, this would be an early stance exercise, and this would be a great place to start. Now at the upper body, as I turn, as I start to roll my leg over, I'm creating a delay strategy on my right side. So if I'm lying flat and I start to turn, I have to delay my right side and then bring it over and create posterior compression, anterior expansion, and propel myself forward. So this goes from early stance at the very, very, very start. So we're early stance, and then it quickly transitions once I get past halfway into kind of like early mid stance. So I start to get that propulsion. I start delay strategy on my right side, posterior expansion, anterior compression, keeping me pushed that way. And then as I come over, I get posterior compression pushing me forward, and anterior expansion giving me somewhere to push into or giving me somewhere to move into so that I can turn, etc., etc., etc. On the back side, as I start to turn, as I start to get compression, posterior compression on my right side, I'm getting posterior expansion on my left, slowing me down on this side and speeding me up on this side so that I can turn. If I'm moving faster on this side than I am on this side, I'm gonna have this effect going on. So this is all the things that we would see during early stance. Exact same. Early stance transitioning into mid. This exercise would be a great one to start somebody off if they were missing early stance relative motions.